know, you guys just running real slow today. And I have so much information to cover. So I really don't want to appreciate this, how long this is taking. All right, come on. Okay, now get to the class. All right, anyone else want to come in? No. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Again, my apologies for the delay on everything. Just things are not going that fast today, or it's just moving slow. So I don't know. Um, all right. So this week is an interesting Torah portion. This week is called Ki Tisa. All right. And since all this stuff has disturbed my flow, I got to get my mindset right before I start talking about this. Basically, what Ki Tisa means is to lift up something or to carry or to take. And in reference to what it's talking about in the opening verse, it talks about how the Most High wanted Moshe to go and to count all the men who were over the age of 20 years old and up, and they had to provide um, some money, we would say, in order to make sure that when they were being counted, that they would not receive a plague, um, which is interesting. So when you're doing a head count or a census, just on a regular group of people, you wouldn't have to pay any money. But here, dealing with the Creator, this was something very interesting that He said, if you put your hands on them and you start counting them, um, if they haven't paid uh, a half a shekel of silver, then there was going to be a plague that was going to break out upon them. And so He was taking a head count. Okay. And that's pretty much the basis of this whole entire Torah portion. But there are some other things in here that we're going to talk about. It's a huge Torah portion. There's several chapters. It goes all the way from chapter number 30 all the way up to 35, up to 34, ending at 35. But we're going to discuss some of those things that I found in it. And, going over the Torah is important because it gives us a clear understanding about what the Most High wants us to know about, our past, and what it was that we experienced as a people. This week is going to be a little different. My form I'm going to use is going to be a little different. Usually I would give you an overview of all the chapters, which I'm still going to do. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit out of each day that we read, and we're going to cover those points. So there are different things that I reviewed and I looked at, and I want to talk about those things. And so what I have here coming up is going to be a 7-day review, a weekly review on each one of those days. Okay, so when I go through it, I'll show you what I'm talking about so you can get more of an understanding. There's three Hebrew words that you have up on your screen, going from the left all the way to the right. One is called kadashim, which is found right here. And the next one is called koshe, and the next one is called Quran. Very similar to what they would have, the Muslims, what they would call the Quran. And basically, the Quran has a meaning, but here in the Hebrew text, this word Quran is used, and I'm going to show you what it means. Okay, so the Kodashim literally means or has to do with the things that are set apart. When I'm talking about being set apart, I'm talking about something that can never be, touched or handled um, outside of the individuals who have been given permission to do so. Individuals who have not been qualified to touch these things can never touch these things. And so, what I'm talking about is the things that pertain to the priesthood. Okay, like we've been talking about how the Creator has designated a family that says that only this family can touch these vessels that I have. That only a family that I chose can make this incense that you read about, or this oil, this anointing oil. And so, of course, the people who are doing this are the ones that have been set apart to participate in this. And of course, there are days that are set apart. So, set apart basically means that it cannot be um, performed or done or used by any other people except for the group that the Most High, which we know as the Creator, has designated. So those are the things that our chapters were talking about. And I know on the surface it seems like, okay, this is kind of redundant. We know that. So what does all this mean to us? And so that's my job, is to go in and show us why he has said what he said about these things. Okay. The next word there is called koshe, and koshe is dealing with the people, and the people are hard-hearted. They're very stiff-necked people. Okay, and so the stiff-necked people are are the people who refuse to bend to the Most High. We see that in their behavior. When Moses did not come down from the mountain, within 40 days, the people became very disappointed. And so they were disappointed because they were looking for something to happen immediately and it didn't. So they had to wait a month and 10 days before their change was going to come. And so we see that they lack some patience there. The stiff neckedness has to do with the images that we're going to talk about, which is the golden calf that you found, okay, which has to do with idolatry. Of course, brings them not only disappointment, but it brings them disgrace. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, at last but least, there's an idea about renewal and restoration that we're going to look at, that we read about this week. So when we were reading every day this week, we're supposed to, read one day and then meditate upon what we read. And I think sometimes we don't really understand how to read Torah, besides it being set apart, like every single day you're supposed to read something. But the idea, everyone, is when you read, you're supposed to meditate upon what you've read about, and you're supposed to be thinking about it and asking the Most High questions and inquiring with Him, like, okay, so why did you do this, or why this, or why that? And so asking questions is a good thing to do. Also indicative, or I would say, proves that you are a wise person. The person who doesn't ask any questions is the person that is going to miss the understanding. Okay. Let's get right into this because I have so much to cover today. Okay. So the Quran means to shine. That's what Quran means. It means to shine. And we saw that in our chapter number 34, where Moshe came out on the mountain and his face was shining, and the people hid themselves because they were afraid of him. So we're going to talk about that as well. Okay. That's the review. So one of the first things that we want to understand about, in anything that we're doing with the Most High continues to talk to the children of Israel all throughout the Torah and what they would say the Tanakh, which are the prophets and the writings. Okay. So here's something that the Most High said that I wanted to bring to our attention. Okay. In Psalms 81, which was part of our meditation this week, the Most High has said to us that He wanted us to listen to Him. He said, "Hear my people while I'll give you a warning." All right. Israel, if you would only listen to me, there is not to be with you any foreign God. You are not to worship an alien God. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which means I'm your power who brought you out from the land of Egypt, which we would know as Mitzrayim. And He says, open your mouth, and that's a command, and I will fill it. So before we read or get into our review of the things that we read this week, the Most High is clearly telling us that you and I are never to have any other foreign god before Him. Just like He tells us in our covenant, you are never to have another foreign god in front of you. Okay. And what He's talking about is anyone or anything or any name or any worship that goes to anyone else. He says that's an alien god. An alien god is someone that is strange, our fathers don't know. And what He's talking about, saying your fathers don't know, is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has never, told their children about the God outside of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, or, the Most High Yah, or El Shaddai, then you should clearly know that that's a foreign God. A foreign God is going to, um, tell you something different than what the Most High has said. The foreign God is going to allow you to think a certain way. He's going to, tell you certain things are okay versus what the Most High says. So what he's trying to let us know is that he's warning us that when someone else comes to you and they tell you anything other than what I said, that's foreign to you. Okay. So the warning is there shall never be any foreign God, just like he told us that there shall never exist another God and don't bring no one before my face, like he says in Exodus chapter number 20. So this is something that we wanted to open up our study with. It's for us to listen and obey because this has always been the problem. This is the root of all of our problems. All right. And you say, well, why do you say that? Well, as you read this week, there's the golden calf that happened. And this changed the relationship between us and the Most High. So this Torah portion is a little bit different than all the others. Okay. So let's start with day one, which I would have in Hebrew on the right hand side called Yom Echad. That's the Hebrew for the word or the phrase day one. Okay. So Yahweh said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, you are to observe my Sabbaths. For this is a sign between me and you and through all your generations, so that you will know that I am Yahweh, who sets you apart for me." Remember? So just like the priests were set apart and they're the only ones who can go into the tabernacle, and they're the only ones who can deal with the lighting the candles. They're the only ones who can, take the offerings and burn it and spill his blood. They're the only ones who can, light the incense. They're the only ones who can splatter the blood or sprinkle the blood. They're the only ones, who can put the bread on the table inside of the tabernacle. They're the only ones that have this exclusive relationship with the Most High. The Most High is telling us that the Shabbat is Kadosh. The Shabbat is set apart for Yahweh. And this is how you and I make our connection with him, is through the Sabbath day, which today is the Sabbath. And so today it is the sign. Today is the sign that you are in a relationship with the Most High. And he says that this is going to be between me and you through all your generations. Okay. And the purpose of it is for you to know that I'm Yahweh. Now, when you say, well, to know that I'm Yahweh, what is he saying? He's saying, I want you to know that I'm set apart. Okay. So not only am I set apart in my tabernacle, I'm also set apart in my day. Okay. So out of all the days that he has set apart, it is this day that you and I are participating in and we're observing today. Okay. Observation of it means doing. It doesn't mean just looking at it from a distance. It actually means participating in it like you are right now through study. Participation also may include for us to be, doing outside things like studying, or you can go outside and walk and see the beauty of the creation the Most High has made. So you're not stuck in your home like a lot of people, some of these orthodox individuals would make you believe. It is for you to observe and to look and do things. Okay. Also, observation of it is preparation for it. So you prepared yesterday your meals for today, and so you won't have to do any work today. You cleaned your house up yesterday, so you don't have to go through the house and clean up, your house on. I'm talking about a full house cleaning. Okay. Not to say that you can't, if you see some trash on the floor today, you can't pick it up. You actually can pick up your trash and put it. You can also wash your dishes. That is like an ordinary work that you do during the week. Okay. So there's the work that the Most High is talking about that one should not be able to do is one that has to do with labor outside, because our people were an agricultural people. So they were always outside. They were always working their fields. They were always, buying and selling, doing the exchange with individuals. And there was a certain time that they did that, and they did it from when the sun rose until when the sun went down. That's the work time. So the Sabbath is from when the sun comes up all the way till the sun goes down. Okay. So I know there's a lot of individuals who are working right now because you really don't have a choice, because you are in the lands of your enemies and you don't have any other choice but to work. But there are other things that you can do that we talked about. Okay. But this today is a point to bring out that this is set apart for Yah. Okay. And anyone who does these, who participates in this, is making their connection to the Most High. So what we want to understand today is, what does the Sabbath really mean? Okay. You have heard that the Sabbath day means to rest. Okay, which is kind of true, but that's not the definition of it. Okay, the definition of the Sabbath means to cease. Okay, that's what it means. It means to cease. Okay, cease from doing the things that you have done. That's what it means to cease. Okay, you're going to cease, or if you don't cease from doing these things, is going to bring you to ruin. Okay, not trying to make anyone feel bad because you're working, right? But it's ruining, right? And I'm going to show you what is mean by by me saying this. So the Shabbat means to cease. It's not just to rest. It's not just to sleep. It means to cease. So let's get right into it to let you know what it means. Okay. So Shabbat means to cease and desist. And what are you ceasing and desisting from? You're ceasing and desisting from those things which weaken us. Okay. So there's things that are going to strengthen us and there's things that are going to weaken us. Okay. And so that's something that you and I need to understand and we need to look at. All right. So, oh, someone says they're waiting to join. I don't, I don't see you in here. Hold on. Someone says they're waiting to join. Oh, she's in. Okay. So basically, this is talking about ceasing and desisting from those things that weaken us, which in our case will be labor. All right. And so there's a reason why the Most High intends for us to, to cease from these things and from this labor. What he's telling us is that the Sabbath is something that's supposed to be guarded and protected. And a lot of people don't understand this. They think it's just a day that you sit around and you don't do anything. No, you actually supposed to be on guard and you're supposed to protect this day. All right. And what are you supposed to guard and protect from? It's going to be very interesting. You're supposed to guard and protect every breath that you have. That's what you and I are supposed to guard and protect. Every breath that you have, you are supposed to guard and you are supposed to protect. Okay. Why? Why do you think the Most High wants us to guard and protect this idea of your breath? Somebody tell me. What do you think it is? He wants you to guard and protect the breath.
I would say the words that come out of your mouth, meaning if it's to praise and bless his holy name or not.
Okay. So here's the deal. The reason why we're supposed to guard and protect every breath that is because every breath that we use, right, is from our maker. When you're working, your heart rate is up and you're using more breath, you're using more oxygen. Okay. And remember, he says that I want you to protect, like when your animals and your servants, they're supposed to get the Shabbat too. And so what you're doing is you're protecting and guarding to make sure that their breath, the breath of life, is what Yah has given to us. So when we're exhausted or we're working, we're using more breath. We're using something that he said, I don't want you to use this breath on this day like this. I don't want you because it weakens you. And it take the respirations that we have can cause us either to be weakened or it can actually cause us to be strengthened, depending on how it's being used. So that's what this is all about. It's about us guarding every breath that we have on this day. And you're correct. Even in our conversation, it's supposed to be a set apart time, right? So the words that you and I are using are the words that the Most High has given to us. Okay. So we have to guard and protect every breath that we have. And so we're guarding and protecting not only our breath, but we're guarding and protecting the breath of those who serve us. And we're guarding and protecting the breath of the animals. Like he said, they're going to rest too when we were in that capacity, right? Like when we had those animals working for us. So it has to do with the breath. The Sabbath is an exclusive relationship. It's a very exclusive relationship. It's between us. This is the Most High said. It's between us. This is sacred between us. So Most High hasn't given this relationship to anyone else. He's only given it to the people that he's in a covenant with, which happens to be the children of Israel, which happens to be the people who've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and those who are listening to his voice. So it's between us. Okay. He said, this is going to be between me and between you. Okay. For what? Forever. Okay. Why? Because the Shabbat is an exclusive relationship. And for you to participate in it is also a mark of destination. In the Hebrew, it's actually an oath. Okay. And so right here, these few letters that we have here kind of tell you that. Let me change the color so I can show you. This letter right here is an ox. Okay. It's an ox. That's what it looks like. It's an ox. Okay. And I showed you this before. And what this ox does is this ox travels down the field like you see me doing right now. And by the time they get there, they get down to this letter right here called the Tav, which is the two sticks. So they put those two sticks together, and that right there is the mark of destination. So the ox is working its way down this field, and the ox has a yoke put on the end of it to break up the ground. And by the time that ox travels all the way down to its destination, it's breathing very hard because it's a beast of burden. And so no work can be done without this being exhausted. But the Most High is saying for us that it's your mark of your destination. So he's saying that when you work this ox for 6 days, you're going to give this ox a break, because if you don't give this ox a break, right, something's going to happen to it. You're going to bring it to ruin. It's not going to be able to perform the way it's supposed to perform, right? So in Hebrew, this word ot right here means a mark of destination. It means a sign, right? So the Most High is letting us know that the Shabbat for you is not just only set apart, but it's actually a mark. Yah is bringing you to your destination. Once the ox completes his work, once it gets to its destination, okay, then it begins to what? What happens after it's finished? He brings it to rest. You see? So the ox needs its rest after it has performed its work. But it did it for 6 days. Okay? If you press it too much, you're going to tear down the ox and its ability. You're going to weaken it. Labor weakens us. Okay? Rest and ceasing, which is part of the Shabbat, to cease and desist, it will bring you to the idea of being strengthened. Yes, Mashal.
So that same principle applies to like horses, right? If you run them too much and you just keep running them, and don't stop and let them slow down, they will die. Their heart will just keep. They'll die.
Yes. Yes. If you keep going and going and going, you're going to destroy yourself. So the Most High has put this in the idea of, after I created everything, he introduces the element, which we're going to get into, about the rest. Okay. The ceasing and desisting from work, which would bring you to rest, because that's what the Most High is interested in. Right. So with that same principle, with the horse, with the ox, I don't know what happened. This is just not a real, this day today is just interesting. That's all I got to say. What's going on? Can you guys see my screen? This thing is okay. Can you see my screen now, Michelle?
No.
You can't see the screen?
It's on the Windows. Oh, now I can see.
Oh, now
yes.
we can.
Okay, now you got. All right, let me go back. All right, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you. All right. So what I'm saying is this is the reason why we need to cease and desist on this day. Because the Most High's purpose for us is to refresh us and to restore us and to strengthen us. We're strengthened. This is what makes us set apart. This is what strengthens you more than any other people. When he says that you're my people, Okay. When he says that, yes, Rivqua.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
going
Rivqua.
to bring out. Yes, can you hear me? I was just going to bring out like
Yep.
when we were in Egypt, we had an 8-day week, right? And then when he brought us out, introduced us to the rest that they didn't have rest for us in Egypt. So this was a totally new concept for us as a people. You know, the seventh day rest. I just think this is awesome because they had us working constantly like they do have us working here. You know, there's really no rest here. They'll work you 7 days a week. And they did the same thing in Egypt. So I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what distinguishes us from other peoples. So Yah is saying, like, if you're my people, I want you to connect yourself to this day, because the ultimate goal is to strengthen you. Okay. The Shabbat is a result of the creative glory of Yahweh. Okay. It's a result of something. So Yah had created the earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day, he decided, like, okay, well, I'm ceasing. I don't need to do anything else. Nothing needs to be added to what I've just done. He then looked upon everything that he made, and he said it was good. And this is something he's teaching us that we need to do. See, sometimes we work so hard and we're doing so much that we don't take the time to look at what we've done. We don't take the time to evaluate what we have done. We don't take the time to enjoy what we have done, because everything we're doing kind of seems meaningless. But this is a principle that the Most High has given to his people. It's a result of the creative glory of Yahweh. So after everything that he's made, he said, I ceased. They have in the English that he rested, but Yah doesn't get tired. He's not a man. He's saying that he ceased and he desists from it. Okay. And so the idea behind the Shabbat is a time of reflection, as the Most High has reflected. And then he put this in there in order for the creation to be able to reflect, and the creation to restore itself and to rebound, right? And to keep going and to strengthen itself, not to weaken, because over time things get weak. And so the Most High introduces this concept to us, right? That's exclusive just to us, because the Shabbat is a rhythm. The Shabbat is a rhythm. It's like a dance. It's like a song, right? It's a certain beat, you know? So therefore he knows, like, on this particular day, he will know, and you and I would not like to think that he knows, but he knows not only what we say, he not only knows what we're doing, just like he in our Torah portion, he say, hurry up and go down, for the people have gone astray from what I told them real quick. And then he begins to say exactly what they said. He heard them, and when they said it, and he repeated to Moshe verbatim what they said. So the Most High knows, he sees, he hears, and he also can detect the rhythm. There's a rhythm. And so his people, when we're following what he says, you're getting on a rhythm with the Most High. How do we know this? Because if your heart rate is going up, right, or the heart rate of your animal, is because the respirations and your breathing, which causes a different rhythm. The whole entire creation is on a rhythm, which you and I would also know as a frequency. So once we get on the rhythm that the Most High, so Shabbat is a rhythm. It's a rhythm. So you would want to be able to obtain that rhythm. Okay. And the Most High knows what it is. Okay. And why? Because it's the natural rhythm of life. This is something that the Most High has given to us. And it's actually a gift. Okay. It's a gift of ceasing and desisting in order for you to maintain the rhythm of life. You get to live longer. A matter of fact, there's a rhythm that goes along with the land. So he says that the land needs to rest. She needs to rest. So when you're not working the field on the seventh day, you're giving the land, her, the one who's bringing forth the fruit, you're giving her the rest that she needs. If you over work the field and you never give her the rest she needs, you're going to diminish the value of the land, and she's not going to be able to perform or produce everything that she needs to produce. So that goes with us. We're taken from the earth. So if we're taken from the earth and we're taken from the soil, and he made us this way in our humanity, he's saying that it's already built inside of you, that you need this. But you being my people, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to let you know that this is the rhythm that you need to be on. So when you and I are keeping the Sabbath, it's a rhythm of life that Most High has given to his people. And it's his rhythm. So he knows who's on his rhythm and who's not on his rhythm. So we're still on day 1. I haven't even got to day 7. That's why I need to hurry up. Not trying to rush it, but we got 6 more days to go. Therefore, you are to keep my Sabbath because it is set apart for you. It is Kadosh. Everyone who treats it as ordinary must be put to death. For whoever does any work on it will be cut off from his people. The put to death right there, everyone, is not just I'm going to physically put you to death. I'm going to cut you off from your people. That means that you will no longer be attached to the children of Israel. Period. You understand? You will never, ever, ever be attached to these people who have this relationship with the Most High. You will cease to exist and I'm going to prove it to you. You will cease to exist out of Yahweh's book. So when he talks about cutting you off, what he's talking about is erasing your name out of the book of life, which there's a book that has your name in it. And you're like he talked about making a census of all the men and taking all their names and all this. There's a book that Yah has that if we don't do what he says, I'm going to blot out your name from that book. Why? Because you failed. You failed to keep what I said. That's the reason why. So when he says you're going to be put to death, that's just to show you. Like there's an example of someone picking up sticks and he said, what should we do with them, Most High? He says, put them to death. So the Shabbat is very sacred to the Most High. I'll say the Sabbath is sacred to the Most High. Okay. So those of us who have to work, understand this. Yah knows this. He knows your rhythm. He knows that you're in exile. He knows this. So he's not saying, I'm going to kill you because you're in the lands of your enemies and you have to take that job because if you don't, you're not able to feed your family. He just wants us to know while we're in the lands of our enemies that this is how I feel about this day. And I could show you, I don't even have another slide where he says anybody who breaks this day, of course, they're going to die, but he's killing everybody that breaks this day with the intent of saying, I don't care. Okay. That's day 1. So you don't want your name to be blotted out. And if you do have to work, take the time to look at it. Okay. So I want to deal right quick with the New Testament, which I would call the New Testimony because that's what it is. And there's new witnesses with the idea about the Sabbath day, which you see in the New Testament, and the idea of rest is spoken by what they would say Jesus or Yahusha or Yahweh or whatever name they gave him. They gave him a Hebrew name to make him legitimate, to legitimize him. He says this, come to me, all you who are struggling and burdened, and I will give you rest. Okay. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me because I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Okay. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Talking about his yoke is about his teaching. Okay. And what he's saying is that your soul is going to find rest when you go to him. Okay. So let's ask ourselves the question. He says that you're struggling in your burden and you're going to find rest. Since we were told that we needed to believe in another God, because remember, we started this Torah portion off where the Most High had warned us never to, look to any other God. No, there's no foreign God among us. Okay. So this new testimony is saying something. He's saying that if you come to me, I'm going to give you rest. Okay. And this is the theme, and it's going to give rest to your souls. Our souls are only going to receive the rest that the Most High has designated for it. Okay. On the Shabbat, and also too when you're back in your land, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. Okay. So you got to ask yourself, when we did learn about Jesus or Yeshua or Yahweh Shai, or whatever names you want to call him, the Son of God, or some people even think he's God. When we did come to learn from him, was there ever really any rest for your soul? And how do you know that what the soul's rest is? How did you get it? Was it because how was our souls rested when we're scattered to the four corners of the earth? How is your soul resting when there's no emphasis put on the Sabbath? Except for that, there's a new day, there's a new Sabbath that you're waiting for, like you find in the book of Hebrews. Okay. The book of Hebrews tells us, therefore, let us be terrified of the possibility that even though the promise of entering his rest remains, any of you might be judged to have fallen short of it. For the good news has also been proclaimed to us just as it was to them. So the question, before I continue to read, the writer of the book of Hebrews, which they don't know who the writer is, said that the good news was preached or proclaimed to us like it was to them. And so you have to ask yourself the question, when was the good news proclaimed to the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness? And what does that good news look like? So those are questions that one may have to ask themselves. And I'm saying this in contrast to what we understand about the Sabbath day that the Most High has given us, the rest that's supposed to be given to our souls on this day that you and I are in observation of today. See? So our souls supposed to find rest while we're here. Not an imaginary when you go somewhere else. Your soul supposed to have rest right now. Okay? So you have to be honest, and you have to do an honest assessment of your life and find out, does my soul really have rest? And what does that really look like? How's that been defined? He says, but the message they heard didn't do them any good because those who heard it did not combine it with trust and, of course, with faith. He said they didn't have any faith. So therefore, the message didn't mean anything to them. But I'm trying to figure out what that good news was and what's this extra day of rest. Then that writer continues to say that for if Yeshua or Yehoshua, which is Moses's servant, or the guy who was the young man who was with Moses all the time, his attendant, had given them rest, God in the New Testament, known as Theos, because that's his name in the New Testament. They never mention Yah's name, not one time. The God in the New Testament, the Greek God, is named Theos. Okay, so put it in your computer, Google it, and find out. He says, would not have spoken later of another day. So they're including something new about another day of rest, not the Sabbath itself. Okay, they're not talking to me. So he says, so there remains a Sabbath keeping for God's or Theos's people. Right, so this is a whole nother new thing. Okay. And he says, for one who has entered in God's or Theos's rest has also rested from his own works as God, making a comparison or in contrast to what the Most High has done when he worked 6 days and then on the 7th day he rested. So they're saying that the physical day of rest that you and I are observing today is not the true Sabbath. They're saying that there's another Sabbath that remains for Theos's people, which is different from the one of Yahweh's people. Yahweh's people's day of rest starts right now, today. It started this morning when the sun came up. It's going to end when the sun goes down. Okay. So Theos did whatever he did. Therefore, let us do our best to enter into that rest so that no one will fall short of it because of the same kind of disobedience. And then they liken what the children of Israel had done in the wilderness, to say that, don't be like them, but believe. So they want you to believe. So we have to question this. And when I looked it up and it says later there's another day, there is no other day. The Most High doesn't speak about another day. He doesn't. He doesn't speak of some future day of rest. I'm going to show you today what the Most High is talking about. When the Most High talks about rest for his people, everyone, and I don't have a whole bunch of time to take of it on it today because we all have lives that we want to cease. We want to have some type of enjoyment. So the rest that is being mentioned here is talking about a heavenly rest for your souls. That's not what the Most High has promised. According to what the Most High is talking about for his people, he's going to bring them to rest. And the rest that he brought them to was a rest in their land. That's where he is. That's where he's talking about bringing them to rest. Okay. So those are the new testimony, the new witnesses, the people who are proclaiming these things. Now, going on to the second day, which is called Yom Shani, in the Torah that you read this week, Yahweh said to Moshe, "Go down, hurry, your people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt have become corrupt. So quickly have they turned aside from the way that I ordered them to follow. They have cast a metal image or a metal statue of a calf, and they worshiped it, sacrificed to it, and said, Yisrael, here is your God, whom brought you up from the land of Egypt." What's the point that I want to talk about on this particular day that you studied this week? It's not only the fact that they've become corrupt and they're ruined, it's the fact that they have turned aside from the way that Yahweh has ordered them to follow. Yah has ordered us a way to follow. And what the people did is because they were disappointed and it wasn't happening fast enough for them, and they got impatient. They said, "Well, we don't know what's happened to Moses, so let's go ahead and start our own thing. Let's get into the idol worship that we come from. Of course, there has to be other gods that has brought us out of the land of, out of Egypt. Here in the English, it said a god, but in Hebrew, it talks about gods. Okay, the calf that they're mentioning, everyone, that they made the golden calf. In Hebrew, it says it's a son of a bull. So when they say let's make a gods, they're talking about the powers, talking about the bull, talking about the son of the bull. See, so we have a representation of the bull by the son of the bull. We have a representation of God by his son. So this is what they worship and they sacrifice to it. And the Most High saw this before Moses did. And he said, hey, you need to hurry up and go down because the people have corrupted themselves. We get corrupt, okay? And we have been corrupted. And this has been the problem in our relationship with the Most High, is because we're looking for someone else to be our God. So we're making images and statues of calves. The Most High told us in Deuteronomy chapter number 4, verify what I say. Verse number 15, you are not to make any image of anything on the face of this earth, whether it's a male or female, a zakar or of a nekeva. You are not to make an image of anything in the heavens above or anything in the earth below. So turning away from Yah means that you're turning, when we turn away from him and we're turning from the way that he ordered, we're turning from the path that he's been directing us on and leading us on, then automatically by default, you and I are going to become corrupt. And we want someone else to lead us. Because now they said, now we have this. These are the ones who brought us out. These are the ones who've led us. Okay. So this is what's going on. That's what the second day was. Okay. For your reading this week. Continuing on with this idea of this golden calf. After this incident happened, the Most High told them on this, and your second day of reading this week on Yom Shani, he said that all seeking Yahweh would go out to the tent of meeting that was outside the camp. The reason why I put this slide here is simply to let you know, after the people of Israel have done what they've done in terms of having this terrible, great sin of going into idolatry, there were still individuals who were able to seek Yahweh. Yahweh was mad at the children of Israel. He was going to wipe them out, which I'm going to show you in a few moments. But there was individuals who were still seeking Yah. I have it in bold because I want you to understand something. From a Hebraic perspective, in spite of all the difficulties that they were facing as a people, and the Most High had moved his tent away from the people, and he was trying to decide whether or not he's going to not annihilate them, okay, or completely destroy them and exterminate them, he still allowed them to come and seek him. Okay, so this word right here called mevakesh means to all of the individuals that are seeking answers. Okay, and what are they seeking answers for? They're seeking answers because they want to transform their lives. They're in a wilderness. So these people that are seeking him are the ones who are asking questions. So when they wanted to know something about themselves, they went out to the Most High. Because remember, the Most High said, I'm going to think about what I'm going to do to you. Talking about the nation. But while that was going on and while they were in a waiting period before the Most High made his decision, they were wise enough to start seeking Yahweh. Okay. The seeking here is, I put it here, it says seeking, not, they said sought in the English, but I changed it to its appropriate translation, letting you know that this was something that was ongoing. Okay. And it was ongoing, and it was for those people that were constantly looking for answers to make their lives better. So this is a word of encouragement for us that when you and I are in, right now we don't know what Yah's going to completely do with us. We have some ideas, but we just don't know. And the reason why we don't know is because we've been worshiping another God. You and I have been calling on other gods. We've been calling the name of Jesus. You've been calling on the name of Yeshua. You've been calling on God's Son. And he says the son that he has is Israel. There's no one who's ever prayed in the name of any other son. There's no one who prayed in the name of Moses. There's no one ever prayed in the name of the prophets. There's no one who ever prayed in any other name except for the name of the Most High. Okay? So when they went out to this tent of meeting, you have to understand that this tent of meeting is a place of a witness. Okay? The reason why I have it bolded is because I want you to know what these letters mean. Okay? In Hebrew, you have this word called moed. Okay? The name of the place is called Ohel Moed, which is the tent of meeting. The meeting right here means I need you to see. Okay? You need to see, and you need to see what? The door. The door of what? The door of the tent. So whenever they had a question and they wanted to find out what they needed to do for themselves and how they would become better people and how they would improve their lives, they would go to this tent. And they would go to Moses and ask him, can you go and ask the Most High what I should do? And the Moses would go and the Most High would answer them. But it only came from that tent. That tent of meeting in Hebrew means a tent of witness. Okay. Why is a witness? Because these two letters right here, which is the ayin, this one right here, and the dalet, the eye of the door. You got a door on your eyes, which is your eyelids. So you would go to the tent and you would be there as a witness. Okay. That's what it means. And when you get there, you're going to receive some knowledge. Because if you reverse those letters in Hebrew, the dalet and then the ayin, it means to know. It means knowledge, visual observation. So when we go to the Most High, okay, you're asking questions, which is using wisdom, you're going there to get an answer. And the Most High is going to give you an answer. Once he gives you that answer, you become a witness. You begin to testify to the fact that the Most High, what he told you was true. Just like right now, while we're in our exile, we're supposed to look and say, well, are we witnesses to the Most High? By you participating today in class and honoring the Sabbath day and even considering the Sabbath day is the beginning of a transformation for you because now you're becoming a witness. You're saying that the day that you're observing today, the day that you're learning, you're honoring the Most High. You're honoring the day that he set apart for you as holy. This day right here is for you. It's not for anybody else. It's not for any other nation. And I'm going to show that to you. Okay. So that's what this second day of your reading was about. Okay. Yah has a testimony against us. Okay. Not for us, against us. Okay. Just like he had against the children of Israel in the wilderness, he has a testimony. Okay. He says, I've been watching these people and you can see how stiff-necked they are. That means that they're not willing to bend. They're going to do what they want to do. He says, now leave me alone so that my anger can blaze up against them and I can put an end to them. And he meant it. I will make a great nation out of you instead, talking to Moses. Okay. Then he says again, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. And this in context was Moses going up to the Most High when Most High saw that they have made this golden calf. Hey, let me go up and see what I can do to intercede and be an advocate and mediate on your behalf so the Most High won't wipe you out. Most High says, hey, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Remember, I read to you that if you keep the Sabbath, the Most High says that it's holy and set apart for you. If you and I break the Sabbath and we have no regard for it and we treat it ordinary, the Most High says, I'm going to put you to death. And then also, too, I'm going to cut you off from your people. A lot of people don't like this. So when Yah begins to testify against us, this is his testimony. And I want to be clear. I read to you about the New Testimony. I'm not talking about the New Testimony right now. You're going to have to make a decision. Either I'm going to listen to a new testimony from new witnesses where the Most High has never spoken, or am I going to listen to the testimony from the Creator himself? These are Yah's words. These are not Paul's words. These are not Timothy's words. These are not JC's words. This is not Jesus's words, Yeshua's words. These ain't Matthew's words, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are anonymous authors. These are not the church fathers' words. These are the words from the living Elohim, who said, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Go now, lead the people to the place I told you about. My Malak, which they would have in English as angel, will go ahead of you. Nevertheless, the time for punishment will come, and then I will punish them for their sin. He's making reference to a time that he is going to punish the children of Israel for the crime of idolatry. The crime for idolatry means you're going to be put to death. You're going to be eradicated. Like he said, move out the way so I can put an end to them. I want you to pay careful attention to what he has said. This is his testimony. Move out the way so I can put an end to them. Move out the way so I can write anyone who's gone against me. That's the one I'm blotting out of my book. He didn't. And so when Moses was trying to intercede for the people, when Moses was trying to mediate for the people and stand in the gap between the people and the Most High, even though he was the most humble of all servants, the Most High said, no. No. Moses asked the Most High, blot my name out your book. He said, no. Go read it for yourself. No, I'm not going to do that. You go to Ezekiel 18, it tells you, the father and the son, both the child and the parent's life belong to me. Whoever sins against me is the one that I'm blotting out of my book. That's the one who's going to die. That is Yah's message. And you can't sweeten it up. You can't make it more palatable. You can't change it. You can't alter it. You can't do any of those things. So when he's talking about, I'm going to put an end to them, that's what his intent was. Until Moses said, remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that you made a covenant with them. That was the only thing that saved us, is that he remembered them. He remembered our fathers. He remembered the ones who weren't calling on the names of other gods. Abraham has never called on any other name but Yahweh's name. Jacob didn't know any other God but the God of his fathers, Isaac and Abraham. So this is the reason why the Most High has mercy on us, because he remembered them, because they were faithful to him. You understand? They weren't idolatrous. They weren't making images. They weren't doing those things. So the time for their punishment will come. It's going to come. And that time is when you and I are going to go back out to the wilderness to be judged, because that's where he says, I'm bringing you. Now you tell the people of Israel, you're a stiff-necked people. If I were to go up with you for even one moment, I would exterminate you. Now keep your ornaments off, then I'll decide what to do to you. Yah was very, very angry, to the point where Moshe got sick. He didn't know if Yah was going to completely eradicate them, and he begged the Most High. So we can thank Moses for his pleading to the Most High and his begging him and standing there and trying to ask the Most High to, just let it, forgive these people. Okay. But that's what the Most High's intent is to do. The third day, you learn this. This is what you read. This is an excerpt out of what you read this week. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about is the Most High has broken his Torah up for us, that every single day we read a certain portion of what he wrote. So that's called a Torah portion. We'll read a couple of chapters, a couple of verses, or maybe a chapter, or maybe 3 verses. It might be 7, it might be 10, it might be 20. It might be 1 chapter, it might not. Depends. What the Most High is doing is giving us a little bit of his word every single day for us to meditate on it. So we do this for 7 days. Okay. So now when we read this week, on our third day of reading this week, the Most High said, my presence will go with you after all. So now the Most High has decided to change his mind and said, okay, well, I'll go with you after all, Moshe. And he said, I'll give you rest. Now, the rest that he's talking about is not a Sabbath rest. Okay. Remember, the Sabbath means to cease and desist. This rest is called nuach. That means that I want you to sit back and I need you to relax, and I'm going to let you remain. That's what this means. So when he said, I'm going to give you rest, he said, I'm going to let you remain. I'm going to let you guys remain now. Moshe replied, I call him Moshe. His real name is Moshe, but some know him as Moses. He replied, if your presence doesn't go with us, I need everyone to pay attention to this. If your presence doesn't go with us, don't make us go on from here. How else is it to be known that I have found favor, which is Cain? Okay, that's the Hebrew word for favor in your sight. And I'm going to explain to you what Cain and favor really means. He says, and I and your people, other than by your going with us. So he's saying the only way that I can know that you show me favor is when you will go with me and or myself and your people. You got to go with us. So this is what distinguishes us and us, me and your people from all other peoples on the earth. Okay. So I needed to share this with you to help you understand something. When Yah is with us, when his presence is with us, this is the only determining factor that distinguishes us from every other people on the face of the earth. When Yah is with us, this is when you know that Yah has shown us favor. You would know that Yah has shown us Cain when you and I are in the presence of Yahweh. And it is apparent that he's with us, not in an imaginary thought that he's with us. Listen to me carefully. Remember, because now we live in a place that where, love can be 4 different meanings. It could be family love. It could be, erotic love. It could be, everlasting love. It could be, you know what I'm saying? So when we're looking at these words that we've been taught by the people that have captured us, they're going to tell us words like favor, which you would know as grace. They're going to tell us what rest means from their perspective. They're going to tell you what love means. They're going to tell you what the presence means. They're going to tell you all these different things. All these English letters and words right here, everyone, is different in Hebrew. Okay. So so he's saying that only way that I'll know that I found favor with you is when your presence goes with us, because that is what distinguishes us. See? So it's not just the Sabbath that distinguishes us. That's part of it. But the presence of Yah is what distinguishes us. And this is what makes us different than all other peoples. Because if you would read, I don't know my readers on here today, but if you would read, the Most High said that the nations will say, oh, what a wise and understanding people that has this Torah. What separates us from others is that we're separated as a people. We don't dress like them. We don't eat like them. We don't think like them. We don't handle situations like them. We don't talk like them. We don't do anything like the nations around us. We don't worship like them. We don't do anything like they do. Nothing. Our language is different than theirs. Everything is different because that's how we're distinguished and that's how we're distinct from all other peoples. See? So Yah's presence has to be with us in order for that to be the case. I told you I'll let you know what the word Cain or favor means. Okay. The Hebrew word Cain that you see right here is called favor. Okay. In English. Okay. And some knows it as grace. Okay. What it means, everyone, from a Hebraic perspective, because the Hebrew language is based on culture, each of these Hebrew letters right here means something. Okay. So number one, let's find out. I have the word camp here on the left-hand side that's telling you what Cain really means. It's not just grace. It's a lot more than just that. Okay. So how do I come with the word camp? Well, this first letter right here in Hebrew means a wall. Okay. That's what it means. Like in ancient Egyptian, they have the hieroglyphs that are on the wall, and each one of those images means something. Well, in Hebrew, this in particular image or writing means a wall. This one right here means a seed. Okay. Or the idea of continuation. Okay. So it's called a seed wall. But you said, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm English. I don't know, seed wall. You put seeds in the wall. What does that mean? Well, it means to camp. Okay. And what it is a wall that continues. So I want you to think about a camp. It means the wall continues. So when a wall continues, what they're talking about, everyone, is tents. When you camp in a tent. Okay, so here's a tent right here. Here's my tent. And then my brother is next to me, his tent. Then my sister's tent. Her tent's right here, and her family. And then our other sister's because like we have another sister. By the way, in Hebrew, there is no word for cousins. Okay. There is no word for cousins. They're all brothers and sisters. And so what happens, and then we have others who are going to put their tents. Okay. So tents are all around. And what these tents does, it creates a wall. Okay. And usually when the tents are put in a circle, because that's what they do, they usually put them in a circle. And I'll just draw a circle right here. Oh, forgive me. Got to get a better circle. Just imagine this is a circle and I got tents all around the circle and they're all joined to each other. They're all connected. That creates a wall around the circle. Okay. And these are families and clans and kids and grandmothers and grandparents. And so it creates a circle and it's a wall. Okay. And this wall from the tents creates a protective layer from outsiders to come in to the circle. Okay. And this is what they would do in a camp. All right. So they would have a camp. And so the camp, let me put right here. So that's the camp. Okay. So what the Most High, when he asked, he said, well, I found favor. If I found Cain in your sight, what he's saying is you're going to allow me to continue to camp. You're going to allow the families to continue. Okay. Inside of this camp, there's beauty. There's freedom inside of the camp. So when you have your yes, Mashal.
So before the Mishkan was built, we had the tent of meeting. Was that tent of meeting part of the wall, or was it
It was
inside
in a
the
center.
middle?
It was in a center. It was in a center of the camp. And so remember when the Most High says, well, told the children of Israel, or Moses said, whoever's with Yah, take off your swords, come over on my side. They did. They went and they killed everybody in the camp. He says, start on one end of the camp and go to the other and kill the people who were involved in this idolatry. Go ahead and kill them. And so they did. They did. And he said, oh, today you filled your hands. You got a blessing. Okay. So the camp, though, is a place of beauty. A camp is a place like if you have children, like Mashal, if your children were inside the camp, they can play inside of this camp, okay, or around the camp. And we would go from camp, tent to tent. So if my brother said, oh, what you cooking today? I'd be like, okay, I got some lamb. Okay, when you come over, you just eat. Everyone who's coming around, who's part of this community, would be able to participate and eat, be free. Kids are playing just like you would when you're camping. Okay. So the Most High has a camp. Okay. Because that's what he does. He camps. He has a tent. All right. So in his camp, Moshe was like, well, if you destroy this, you're going to destroy the camp. That means no one's tent's going to continue. You're tearing everyone's tent down. The Most High said, well, you found grace. You found camp. I'll allow you to continue. That's what grace is allowing you to continue, allowing your family to continue, allowing you to see the beauty of the people inside of the tent and around the tent. Because the tent in Hebrew is family. That's family. And everyone lives inside the tent. You see? So when Yah brings us to ruin, what he does is he takes the tent. You know how the tent has a cord to come right here and it's locked right here, and then it got another peg right here, and there's another one that goes into the ground right here, and here's one in the back to stabilize the tent, and here's another one that locks the tent in, and there's more that locks it down. You use the cords. When Yah decides to tear down the tent, what he's going to do is he's going to remove all the cords. The tent is going to fall. So instead of it being straight up like this, the tent is going to come down like this. It's going to be flat, and no one's going to live in it. You understand? So he's saying, if you do what I tell you and I'm showing you grace, that means I'll allow you to continue to camp. Well, when you're in my camp, there can never be any idolatrous practices that these children of Israel were doing with this golden calf. As long as you're in this camp, you are never to mention the name of another God. Well, as long as you're in this camp, you are not supposed to eat what I told you not to eat. As long as you're in this camp, you're going to respect your mother and your father. As long as you're in the camp, you're not going to steal from one another. As long as you're in this camp, you're not going to lay with nobody's wife. As long as you're in this camp, when it comes on the day of the Shabbat, you are not going to be working outside of the camp. You're going to be in the camp and you're going to relax and you're going to enjoy yourself and you're going to prepare everything you need to do for this day, because that's what we do in this camp. That's Yah's grace. And that's his mercy. That's his Cain. So when the wall continues, that's what he's saying. I'll let you continue with me if you do what I'm asking you to do. The fourth, if you're reading, it says, I will also do what you've asked me to do. This is Most High talking to Moses. Because you have found favor. He's like, yeah, if I found favor in your sight, then go with this. He said, yeah, because I know you by name. I know you by name. Talking to Moshe. I know you, Moshe. I know you by name. What do you mean you know me by name? Because your name is written. Your name is written in my book. Why is your name written in my book? Because I chose to write your name in my book. I know you by name. I have a record of you. I know you by your reputation. In Hebrew, your name is your character. I know your character. I know who you are. I know the breadth of you. But Moses said, I beg you to show me your glory. Not only do I want your favor, I want to know your glory. He replied, I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and in your presence, I will pronounce the name of Yahweh. He's not going to pronounce the name of anyone else. I'm going to pronounce my name, the name of Yahweh. Moreover, I show grace to whomever I will, and I display mercy to whomever I will. I have here highlighted in bold grace and mercy because in Hebrew, these are different words. They're different. And here in English, they say they're different too, right? But these have agricultural meaning, okay? So favor is basically the same word that's used for grace. Is Cain. I'm going to show you Cain, okay? This mercy right here is considered to be kindness, okay? It means Yah bending down and showing you kindness, okay? That's his mercy. I'm going to show you some kindness, okay? He said, whomever I will. He says, but my face, he continued, you cannot see. Because a human being cannot look at me and remain alive. So again, the idea of remaining alive means you're not going to be able to continue. So if Yah says a human being can't see me and remain alive, then Yah has already said in other places that I'm not a human being. Yah will never become a human being. A human being will never be able to look at Yah. Because a human being is a creature. A human being goes to the bathroom. A human being gets sick. A human being bleeds. A human being gets tired. Yah said, I'm forever, I'm an everlasting Elohim. You're not going to be able to look at me and stay alive. And then he goes on to tell him what he is going to do. But let's focus our attention continually on this word right here. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at what this means. Okay, let's look at some different aspects. Here, check this out. When Yah says, I'm going to show mercy and compassion to whomever I will, or I'm going to show favor and grace, this is what he's saying. Okay, there's only one group of people he's doing this with. Listen to what Yah says. Listen to what the Creator says. And then compare this to what you would read over in the New Testament. This is what it says. Listen to this word which Yahweh has spoken against you. Again, this is not a commendation. This is not giving you a nice praise. This is against you, people of Israel, against the entire family that I brought up from the land of Egypt. That's his signature. I'm the one who brought you up. Of all the families on earth, only you have I intimately known. Where Moses said, Yah says, I know you by name because you're the only ones I know. You're the only people that know Yah. You're the only people who's ever been intimate with the Most High. This is why I will punish you for all your crimes. Then he asked the question, can two people travel together without having so agreed? Meaning when we're walking on the road together, we can't walk together unless there's some type of an agreement. The agreement has already been made. Our people and our ancestors has said, whatever you said, we will do. There's an agreement between us. So Yah is saying that you're walking with me and you're walking contrary to me. This is the reason why he's speaking against us. He doesn't know any other family. He doesn't know any other culture. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know the Russians. He doesn't know the Ashkenazis. He doesn't know the Chinese. He doesn't know the Koreans. He doesn't know any of these people. He only knows the children of Israel. Well, Akika, you went straight racial. No, I'm telling you something. The Hebrew people are Afro-Asiatic people. Go look it up. They're Afro-Asiatic people. I know you. Well, does that mean he's not going to know anyone else? No, it means that you're the only people I know. Anybody else who wants to come and join themselves, they're going to have to go and join themselves to you in order to get to me. Yah's not going out making agreements with anyone else in regards to them knowing him intimately like he knows us. Only you. Look else what he says. For you are a people set apart as Kadosh. You are set apart, meaning holy for me. That's who you and I are. Yahweh, your Elohim, has chosen you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be his own unique treasure. Only you. Yahweh didn't set his heart or choose you because you numbered more than any other people. On the contrary, you are the fewest of all peoples. Well, what are you talking about, Akika? I'm going back to let you know that he's saying, I'll show grace to whomever I'll show grace, and I'll show mercy to whomever I'll show mercy. He's talking about you. Now, here's the individuals that are going to get it, right? He says, from this you can know that Yahweh, your power, which is your Elohim, is indeed El, the faithful El, who keeps his covenant and extends kindness. That's the cassette I was telling you about. Yah extends kindness to those who are loving him. Only you who are loving him. So if you're looking for kindness from Yah, you're only going to get that kindness when you're loving him and observing his commandments. Those are the only people who are ever going to get this. To 1,000 generations, but he repays those who are hating him. The hating of Yah is the ones who are turning away from Yah. So again, you see in English, they're using abstract terms like hating and loving and kindness, okay? These Hebrew words, I can tell you that loving means look towards the house. The letters mean that. When it says hating, it means the turning away from the Most High. I know that by the letters, like a thorn bush. Okay, so the people that are hating Yah are the people who are turning away from his commandments. They're not listening to what he says. Mitzvot here means commandments. Okay, the kesed right here means I'm going to show you some kindness. I'm going to keep going around the wall with you. Okay, why? Because you're loving me. You're always looking towards my house, and Yah's house is his Mishkan, which is his tabernacle. What was inside the tent? The 10 words, the covenant the Most High made. So this is what the children of Israel kept going. They kept going back to the tent, meaning they were a witness, remember? The eye of the door, they're an aid. They're going back to the tent of meeting, and they're going to receive what the Most High's judgments are. And what did he say? So this is how you know who loves Yah and who doesn't love Yah. This is how Yah says that I know who loves me and I know who doesn't. The people that love me are going to do what I say. And I didn't say L-O-V-E-D, past tense, loving, participle, presently, right now, loving him and observing his commandments like the Sabbath day, like the diet. You understand? And all the other laws that he says that are exclusively only for you. This is for you, nobody else. But if you're hating him, that means that you are not listening to him and you're turning away from him. Okay? You're turning your face away from him. He said, but guess what? Since you hate me, I'm going to destroy them. So there's no other way to put this. I know we've been taught that God loves us and God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son to whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. But that's not what Yahweh says. That's not what Yahweh says. Either we're going to listen to what Yahweh says or we're going to listen to someone else. Yah says anybody that hates him, I'm destroying them. And he says he will not be slack, meaning he will not, I put the word Hebrew right here, a car, meaning that he's not going to leave anybody behind that hates him. So when Yah comes to destroy his enemies, he doesn't leave anybody behind. Like he did with the Egyptians when they came out against the children of Israel. He opened up the Red Sea and then he said, let them all come in. And when they all came in, he said, today you're never going to see not one of them ever again. So when he says he's slow to deal with someone, he's not going to be slow. That means that Yah is not going to leave you behind. If you hate him, he's going to pay you straight to your face. That's what you're getting. And this is the reason why people don't love what they would call the Old Covenant, the Old Testament. They love the New Covenant, the New Testimony, with the new witnesses that are testifying to the fact that God loves you so much that you can continue to do what you want to do and don't worry about any of his laws. And he says, no, that's not the case. Not for you. You see, because you're the only family that I know. I don't know anyone else but you. The fifth day, which is Yom Kamishi, this was something I took out of that day. He says, Yahweh passed before him. This is talking about how Moses wanted to see the glory of the Most High. When the Most High had passed before him, he put Moses inside of a cleft of a rock and he proclaimed Yahweh. He proclaimed his name, Yahweh. And he says, Yahweh is El. He's merciful. He's compassionate. So you see these abstract terms again. He's merciful. He's compassionate. He says he's slow to anger. Hebraically, that means a long nose. So if we were to put it in the Hebrew culture, in the writings, this is the reason why they put it in English, because if it said long to nose, you would never know what that meant. You would think it means a long nose. It doesn't mean that. But if we were to look at it, we long to nose. What is long to nose? Long to nose means slow to anger. So we don't understand the culture. When he talks about he's rich in grace, you think grace can be anything to anybody at any time. Merciful can be anything to anybody at any time, depending on what culture you're talking about. Compassion for some people means that, hey, I read something in the 13th tribe from Arthur Kessler that talks about how these people thought compassion was, I'll allow you to live for a certain period of time and then I'll kill you afterwards. Depends on what culture you're coming from. Some people think slow to anger can, one day it can, how long, what does that mean? You see? And he said he's showing grace to the 1,000th generation. So to the 1,000th generation? How many generations has it been? He said to the 1,000th generation. He's showing what? Cain. I'm going to allow you to continue. Forgiving, what? Present tense. Not have forgiven in the past. Always forgiving. So when you go to the New Testament, they're telling you that the God that we had was hateful. He was angry. He was mad. And now you got nothing but love. And you know what? All your crimes and sins are taken care of because somebody innocent died on your behalf, because they sold you on the fact that this God that you're talking about in the Old Testament was evil and mad. And now he's all of a sudden, this is how he's going to show grace, by killing the innocent to let the wicked people go free. Yeah, before that, Yah was always forgiving. He always forgives offenses. He always forgives crimes. This should give us a sense of appreciation that this is his character, because Moses didn't say this, okay? No disciple ever said this. Yah said this about himself. This is his testimony. I'm forgiving. I'm forgiving. I'm merciful. I'm compassionate. I'm slow to anger. I'm rich in grace. I show grace to the 1,000 generations, forgiving, present tense always, offenses and crimes and sins. But they're going to be according to how he sees it. He says, yet not exonerating the guilty, meaning if you are guilty, he says, I'm not going to let you go free. But in the New Testament, it says that you could do evil and wickedness, and he's going to let you go free. That's antithetical to what he just said. This is his testimony. He says, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced. The children are not paying for the sins of the ancestors or the fathers or their parents. They're experiencing the offenses, meaning like, hey, I told your mother and father not to do this. They did it. So as a result, you guys became poor. All you guys got sold into slavery. And now you're a slave because of what your mother and father did. You guys are scattered to the four corners of the earth because of what your ancestors did. So you're going to experience what they did, and I want to see if you're going to listen to me versus listening to them, says Yahweh. That's what he says in the book of Deuteronomy. That's what he says in the book of Ezekiel chapter number 20. I told them not to be like their parents. But no, they want to be like Big Mama. They want to be like Grandpa. They want to be like Uncle such and such. They want to be like
mama and daddy. They want to be like everyone else. When I told you that what your ancestors have done has caused you to have a different experience. And the reason why this happened, everyone, is because our ancestors failed to teach their children, just like the Most High had commanded. So when we don't do what we need to do, Yah promises that your children and your grandchildren are going to experience something because of what you and I have done, even to the third and fourth generations. Meaning that they're going to have to live through it. They're going to have to go through it. This is from the Most High. Now, when we're talking about this idea of slow to anger, I want you to know, I want you all to listen to me very carefully about what he's talking about, slow to anger, the Hebraic understanding. There's a word that tells us what it is. It's beautiful. That word is called Eric. That word is called Eric in Hebrew. Okay? These 3 dots that you find underneath this word Eric right here, those words or those 3 dots are called a segol in Hebrew. In Hebrew means a bunch or a cluster, like you would for grapes. You know how you have grapes and they come in a cluster and you see them and they got a little vine coming out the top of them. And then it gets a little color right here. Yes, Michelle.
That word is very similar to the word eretz, earth.
Yeah, it is. Yes, the land. Yes. So here's your cluster of grapes. Okay. So this is what it's talking about. So what it's talking about when it's talking about long suffering, meaning that just as much time as it takes for a grape to flourish and to come into a bundle or a bunch, you don't pick it until it's full. So it takes time. Okay. So with the idea of him being long suffering, he's saying, I'm Eric. That's what the Most High said. I'm Eric. Eric, right here. I'm Eric. Yah saying I'm like a bunch or a cluster of grapes. I mean, I'm going to allow it to take as much time as I need it to because I'm long suffering. Being long suffering means being very gentle and being very soft and very tender. Okay. Very tender. Okay. So, but also too, it means to lengthen or delay. There's a delay going on. So when the Most High says that I'm Yahweh and this is who I am, and he has this word in there, so I'm long suffering. So I'm Eric. Okay. The other word is emet. I'm truth. The other one is Kesed. I'm Kesed. I'm Eric. He tells you exactly who he is. Okay. But also too, when you think about Eric, he's saying that Eric is in a process of delay, lengthening, taking time. You understand? But there's only a certain amount of time. There's only a certain amount of time that something can be delayed. Because eventually the clusters are going to come. The bunch and the cluster and the growth and development is coming. Which brings us back to the idea of Yahweh's anger. You understand? So when he says I'm slow to anger, he says I'm Eric Appa I. Okay? So he's talking about his nose. He's saying when in Hebrew, when you're digging along the nose, he says it takes a long time for my nostrils to flare. But we see right there when he had the golden calf, he said, I want to move out the way. I'm going to exterminate all of them. I'm going to kill every last one of them. So it's telling us that Yahweh has very little patience for what? For idolatry. There was no delay. I want to kill them right now. Move out the way. And Moses said, please don't do it right now. Don't do it, Yahweh. Remember, he begged them. Remember Abraham. Remember Isaac. Remember Jacob. Remember how when you talk about remember Abraham, you can read it, Genesis 26. He said, everything your father, what I told him to do, he did it. So when we're talking about this idea of Yah's anger, he's talking about Eric. And he's talking about lengthening. And he said, look, I'm slow to Eric on you. I'm slow. I'm slow when it comes to anger. But when we saw idolatry, Yahweh wasn't slow. Yahweh was not slow to write anybody's name out of that book. Those people who did what he did, their names got written out of that book. You understand? The people that sin against Yah is the one that Yah's writing out. Now, here, in context, he says that I'm slow. I'm going to be slow, so let's go back and look at it one more time. I'm long suffering. I'm slow to anger. I'm Eric. That's what I am. My nose is not going to flare. I'm not. So in Hebrew, anger is your nose flaring. Just like you know when an ox is tired and you know when it's angry because its nose is sweaty and it's wet and it's flaring and it's red. It's just heat. It's heated. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Okay. So this is part of Yahweh's character. This is who he is. So when Yah pronounces his name, he's telling you his character. So when we look at Yah's character about being merciful, you see that Yah is compassionate. You see that Yah is Eric. You see that Yah is rich in Kesed and Cain. You see that Yah is showing Cain to the 1,000th generation. I'm going to allow you guys to continue. You see that Yah will forgive. He pardons offenses. You see he pardons crime. And here in everything you see, it doesn't say nothing negative about Yahweh. So the idea that the New Testament is painting and the picture that they're painting about him is false. It's a false narrative and it's a false doctrine. What we don't like is the fact that Yah says this about himself. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Yah. That's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to what I'm telling you today. We're going to press Yah. We're gonna leverage the long suffering and tenderness of Yah. We're gonna take advantage of Eric. We're gonna lengthen and delay our responses to Yah and our seeking Yah. We're gonna give ourselves more time. You understand? So we're taking advantage of Eric. But there's a time when this no longer be applicable. This is what Yah said on the 6th day of your reading. I am making a covenant in front of all your people. I will do wonders such as never been created anywhere on the earth and in any nation. All the people around you will see the work of Yahweh. What I'm going to do through you will be awesome. He's talking to Moses. The work and the wonders and the awesomeness of what Yah is going to create is happening right now. It's in the process. The wonders is this. People who don't know who they are going to wake up to find out who they are. This is making reference to when Moses asked a question in the book of Deuteronomy. Has anyone ever heard such a thing? That the Most High has gone into a nation and take a nation out of a nation and making them a people and have an Elohim so close to them that they can call on him for anything that they need? Yah has said this is never been created. So this is going to be something new. You see? That he's going to do on the earth. And then he said it's going to be awesome what I'm going to do through you, through Moses. What he's doing through Moses is the one who wrote everything down, like the Most High told him. Moses is the one who's communicating to the children of Israel what the Most High said. Moses is the one who's telling us the Torah. And of course, finally, our crowning jewel, which would be the Sabbath day. The Most High doesn't call it the 7th day. He calls it the Sabbath day. Okay? It's identified as the 7th day in order, the ordinal number of the 7th day, but the Most High calls it Yom Shabbat, is the day of the Sabbath, the day of ceasing. Okay? Okay? In Hebrew is Yom Shavi'i, meaning the 7th day. What did Yahweh say? Yahweh said this to Moshe. And by the way, I have here highlighted in the orange, anytime you see this word Adonai in bold, that's where Yah's name is supposed to be. Okay? He says, Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words down. What words? The words that Yah has spoken in your Torah portion this week, because they are the terms of the covenant I've made with you and with Israel. So when the Most High did this, listen to me very carefully. Remember, he wanted to wipe the people out. Okay? And Moses said, please remember the ancestors. And Most High did. He said, okay, I'm going to go with you. So the Most High now has made a covenant with you, Moses, and with Israel. Listen to me carefully. What's holding you and I into the covenant, you better hear what I'm telling you. What's holding us and got us locked in with Yah right now is this man right here. That's who has helped us get into a renewed covenant with Yahweh. Because when Moses came down from the mountain, he took the 10 words which were on the stones and he broke them. He broke the 10 words. So that covenant was smashed. So Yah rewrites these words. He says, write these words. So there was words that Moses was supposed to write, and there's words that Yahweh wrote with his own finger. So Moses is the one who helped us to get back in the covenant with Yahweh because of his pleading with Yah. That's why the Most High said, what I'm going to do with you is going to be amazing. Meaning, like, I'm using you as the connection between me and the children of Israel. So Moses was there with Yahweh for 40 days again, like he was the first time, and 40 nights, which time he neither ate food nor drank water. Yahweh wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant. So again, the words of the covenant is, hey, I'm Yahweh. I'm the one who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You are never to have another God before my face. And of course, it goes on, never shall you make any images. And he gives those 10 words again with exactly the same statements that he said before. So you and I are supposed to understand this. When he told Moses what he told him, he was giving him the terms of the covenant, which the Sabbath was part of the terms of this covenant. You understand? So when Moses came down from the Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony, again, the 10 words, not the 10 commandments, are the testimony of Yah that connects you to the covenant. The testimony is what Yah said. The testimony is what Yah you and I have witnessed. He said, you guys are my witnesses because you're the only people on the face of the earth that's ever heard Yahweh speak to you out of the fire. It's Yah's words. It's his 10 words, which is his testimony, which is in the golden box called the Ark of the Covenant that has the 2 cherubim, which are the guardians that are there to block and to protect the words, which are the 10 words that are in the box that's holding the covenant. Not the New Testament. Yah has never spoken in the New Testament. He's only spoken in what they would call the Old Testament. So why would they call it old? Because the people who wrote the New Testament are not Hebrew people. They do not know your culture. That's why they wrote slow to anger, not long to nose, because they don't know your culture. That's why they call it the 10 Commandments versus the 10 words, because they don't know your culture. They make no distinction and separation between the Sabbath and any other day. All days are alike to them because Jesus Christ is the Lord of the Sabbath. Yah has never said that. So the terms of the covenant that I made with you, who, Moses, and with the children of Israel. You understand? So when Moses came down, he had the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, and he didn't realize that the skin of his face was sending out rays of light, which is the Quran, okay? Not the book of Quran, but the light of rays, like they look like rays of light coming off of him as a result of him talking with Yahweh. You see? They don't know your culture. They don't know it. You understand? And because they don't know it, they're going to tell you what they do know. And all they know is that they're wicked and they want to be set free from their sins that they commit knowingly. They can murder you and say that God will forgive me. They can go to the death chamber. They can go to prison, and then they can get forgiveness because of the blood of Christ. You can commit adultery and go ask for forgiveness the following Shabbat. Say, I'm never going to do it again. In the New Testament, you can eat whatever you want. Why wouldn't you want to go to the New Testament? You get to eat whatever you want. You get to think whatever way you want. You get to dress whatever way you want. You can do whatever you want to do. Children can disrespect their parents, and nothing will ever happen to them because Christ died for them. You can murder, your ox can kill somebody, and because you knew your ox was going to hurt somebody and you didn't do nothing about it, nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing. God's going to let you free. You understand? You don't ever have to worry about you can cut your beard off. Because it don't matter if you're a Jew or Gentile, all are one, both male and female. Everybody's the same. I can share a scripture with you right now where Christ tell you to hate your mother and your father, your brother, your sister. And if you don't hate them, you're not going to be one of his disciples. Most High never told us to hate our parents. He told us to honor our mother and father. So you got to look and do some contrast. You got to make some comparisons. You understand? Moshe has said, now, please, nah, atah, meaning nah, if now, please, he's begging Yah. If it really is the case that I found Cain in your sight, show me your ways. I want to know your ways. When it's talking about show everyone here in Hebrew, in English it says show, but here it's talking about direct me, point me in your path. Point me in your paths. Because the path that Yah has is the one that's full of favor. It's the one that allows you to continue. Yah's saying, if you're going to walk with me, if I'm going to lead you, you're going to go where I want. Remember, he led the children of Israel through the wilderness, and every time you turned around, they were camping somewhere. The camp will move here, the camp will move there, and they would pick up the camp, and they didn't move until the cloud moved, and then when the cloud moved, they moved. They were camping with Yah. That's Cain. To be able to camp with the eternal one, to be able to set up a tent and Yah living among you and walking among you and covering you and feeding you and clothing you and nourishing you and putting water on you. And your feet's not swelling, your clothes are not wearing out, and Yah is living among you. Who has ever had the creator of the heavens and the earth live among them? The only way that we can live among Yah is by him showing us how to live on the path the way that he said. In order for us to continue camping with Yah. He talks about finding favor. In order to continue finding favor, in order to continue camping with Yah. You understand? When Yah camps on the Sabbath, he says, I'm not doing anything. You don't do anything. Yah has prescribed, this is what I said that you can eat. This is what you eat. Yah says, this is what you say. This is what you say. Yah says, no other name shall ever come off of your lips. You are never to proclaim the name of another God. The only one that we're supposed to give honor and refuge and lift up any offerings to is Yah. It's his name. It's mentioned over 6,828 times in what we would call the Old Testament. Go to the New Testament. How many times is Yahweh's name mentioned? 0. The New Testament doesn't tell you about a land. It doesn't tell you I'm going to restore you. It doesn't say any of those things. Absolutely nothing. So let's ask the question. I want to take a detour right quick. I want to show you something. Here's my detour. Okay. We're going to go to Ezekiel chapter number 36. It's going to be a quick read, not that much. We're going to begin in verse number 16. Okay. I want you to listen very carefully. I put this on what they call Sefaria.org because when I'm on the Bible, Complete Jewish Bible, it has too many ads. And so it disturbs the flow of the information. Okay. I got the Hebrew on one side. I got the English on the left-hand side. If I see any corrections when I'm looking at the Hebrew and it's not saying over in English, I'm going to tell it to you. Okay. But let's start with verse number 16 on your left-hand side. Okay. It says that the word of Yahweh came to me. Okay. He says this, O mortal, talking about son of man. Okay. When the house of Israel dwelt on their own soil, they defiled it by their ways and their deeds. Their ways were in my sight like impurity. Do you guys see that? Huh? So it was how they were living. Can everybody see this? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. It's how they were living their lives that got them put out of the land. The Most High said their ways to me were like the impurity of a menstruous woman. Like when a woman is on her menstrual cycle, she has to be separate. She has to be separated outside the camp. You understand? Or she has to be outside of her tent. She cannot, no one can be around her, otherwise they're going to be defiled. Okay? So here he's telling us that he likens our ways to a woman who's on her menstrual cycle. So she has to go through a period of purification. Okay? You understand? Then he says, so I poured out my wrath on them. Okay? For the blood that they shed upon the land or their land. That blood that he's talking about is the innocent blood. So because they were shedding innocent blood in the land, that defiles the land. So he had to get rid of them. And he says, and for the fetishes for which they defiled themselves. The fetishes here that he's talking about in Hebrew, and I'm going to go right here, is these right here. Okay. And I got to put a different color. This uvit gululehem right here are idolatrous practices. It's idol worship. So they talked about fetishes because people have fetishes with idols. They're consumed with them. They for whatever reason they think it gives them powers, all different types of stuff. Okay. So okay. So then he says, forgive me for reading real fast, you guys. So he said, I'm going to pour on them, right? For all the blood that he said, I scattered them. Listen to this. Verse number 19. I scattered them. Why? Because of their ways, because of their fetishes, because of their idolatry. So I scattered them among the nations, and they were dispersed through the countries. I punished them in accordance with their ways. So when you and I get punished, is according to how we live and their deeds. Yahweh only gives us what we deserve. We're only getting paid for what we have done, right? And how we're doing things and what's our practices, okay? This is why we got to know his ways. He says, but when they came, verse number 20, when they came to those nations, United States of America, the Middle East, Canada, the UK, wherever we're at. He said, when they came to those nations, they caused my holy name to be profaned. In that it was said of them that they're Elohim's people, they're Yahweh's people. They have their word God's people right there, but if you look across, it's Yohei right here. See, we're the Am of Yahweh. We're his people, okay? Yet what? Yet they had to leave their land. So when he's talking about these other nations, everyone, he's letting you know that you're not supposed to be part of these nations. You have your own land. But when we were in our land, we did not live according to the ways that we're supposed to live when we're in our land. So now that we're living in these other lands, we're living the way that they live. And because we're living the way that they live, Yah says, now you're profaning my name. Because it's always about Yah's name. Always about his name. Because when his name is set apart, it's holy. So when he says that we're his people, because we're associated with him, we don't supposed to be associated with the practices and the deeds and the works of other peoples. We don't supposed to do nothing like them. You understand? Okay. So we're going to go to verse 21. Therefore, I'm concerned for my holy name. I'm concerned. Now, here's the part that I'm going to blow your mind. Okay. When he says that I'm concerned, when I looked into Hebrew, everyone, I found this word, wa'ekmol, right? All ashamed because of my name, because my name is Kadosh, right here, Kadosh, Kodeshi. His name is Kadosh. When it says holy, is Kadosh, okay? That's this word right here, okay? In which they are profaning. Now, when it says I'm concerned, it doesn't say I'm concerned. It says this word over here. And you better wake up and you better pay attention. This word right here, called ekmol right here, is right here. The root of it is called chamol, okay? Chamol, right here, this letter, the ket, the mem, and the lamed. The ket, the mem, Lamed, exactly the same word. The only difference is that he puts the I, which is this aleph right here. That's how you say I in Hebrew. Okay. Eh, So it's ikmol. So what does he mean by the concern? He doesn't say for the concern. He's saying, because of my name, I'm going to spare them and have pity and compassion on them. It's not because for concern for my name. He's telling us because of what his name is, this is what allows you and I to have compassion. This is what allows him to spare you and I for profaning his name among the nations. Listen to me. We are in a land of idolatry. And it's because of us being his people that we have his name. And he told us when he gave us the attributes of his name, he said, I am merciful. I'm compassionate. I show kindness. This is what he's talking about. You and I are supposed to be dead. We are supposed to be exterminated. And the only reason why you and I are not exterminated is because we have his name. They got there and I'm concerned for my holy name. Yah is saying, I'm sparing you because of my name. Just like he spared us when they made that image of that golden calf. This is the reason why he proclaimed his name to Moshe. And he said, now I made a covenant with you and Israel. Because if he didn't reveal his name to Moshe, we wouldn't be here. We would be gone. I promised myself today I wasn't going to get emotional. I wasn't going to go off, but I just see what he's saying right now. Yah is only sparing us and having compassion on us because he made a new covenant because of Moses. He said, I make this covenant with you and Israel. He revealed his name to Moshe, and Moshe turned around and told us what Yah said to him. He told Moses, you come up on this mountain and you bring those two stones. And before you come up, I need you to make an ark, a box, so you can put these covenant inside of that box. When you come up this mountain, nobody is to come up on this mountain. No animal's supposed to be in front of this mountain. Not even your assistant, Yehoshua. Nobody but you. After what the children of Israel did to the Most High, after he was going to destroy them, he said, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with you. And Yah found a way. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. He found a way to have a relationship with us. And he's saying now that you're living in a place that you're living, you're profaning my name. With your gods and your idols and your food and your clothes. Your relationships, your marriages, your children, your religions are all profaning the name of Yahweh. But yet, Yah says, I'm going to have mercy and I'm going to have compassion on my people. Therefore, I am going to spare for my holy name in verse 21. Which the house of Israel has caused to be profane among the nations where they have come. Now you say to the house of Israel, thus saith the sovereign Yahweh, it's not for your sake that I will act, O house of Israel, but for my holy name. So when he's talking about, I'm going to act, he's going to act because of what he said. What did he say to us? What did he say? What did he tell us about his name? What did he share with us on the fourth day? What did he say? I am Yahweh. I am an El. I'm merciful. I'm compassionate. I'm slow to anger. I'm rich in grace and truth. I'm showing grace to the 1,000th generation. I'm forgiving offenses and crimes and sins. not yet exonerating the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and grandchildren, even to the third and fourth generations. And that's all he said. You and I better not play with Yah. We had better not delay in our response to the Most High Yah. We better not. I'm telling you today, we better not play with the Most High Yah. Do not play with him, because the bottom line is you and I deserve death, and he ain't gave it to us. Not yet. 23. I will sanctify my great name that has been profaned among the nations, among whom you have caused it to be profaned. And the nations shall know that I am Yahweh, declares the sovereign Yahweh, when I manifest my holiness before their eyes through you. So what is he telling us? How is he going to manifest his holiness through their eyes, through us? That means he's going to do something through you. Through you. He's going to do something that's never been done through you. When he went into Egypt and he destroyed them and he opened up the Red Sea, it was for you. When he destroyed our enemies, it was for you. When he fed us in the wilderness, it was for you. You understand me? When he says that I'm going to create something new and I'm going to do some wonders and it's going to be amazing, he's telling us it's through you. And they're going to see it. They're not going to believe nothing. They're going to see it through their own eyes. Who's he talking about? Yah says, I'm going to make it known. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. What did he say? I'm going to make it known. This word right here is called manifest. When I manifest my holiness, what are you talking about? When I, ki, ani, Yahweh, na'um, the Adonai, Yahweh, when I do it before their eyes, I will be set apart as kadosh through you, through their eyes. Whose eyes? The nations. And how is he going to do this? What is he going to do to show us this magnificence and the glory and the power of Yahweh? What is he going to do? Is he going to cause our face to shine like he did Moses? Yahweh's going to do something even greater. He says, I will, verse 24, I will take you from among the nations and gather you from all the countries, and I will bring you back to your own land. Why? So you and I can rest. I'm going to bring you to your land, so you're going to rest. So you'll know I'm with you, so my presence will be among the children of Israel. I will sprinkle pure water on you, and you shall be purified. Why does he need to put water on us? Because you and I are filthy. Everything you and I touch, the nations touch, they are filthy. They are an abomination to the Most High. I don't care where you get your clothes. I don't care if it's a name brand. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care where you're sitting. I don't care where you're standing. I don't care where you're laying down. It's filthy before Yah. I will purify you from all your defilement and from all your fetishes, which is all your idolatry and all your idols. That's your Jesus Christ. That's your Yeshua. That's your Buddha. That's your Muslim. That's your Allah. That's your Muhammad. That's all of it. That's your Easter. That's your Christmas. That's your Flag Day. That's your Halloween. That's all of it. We are defiled. You understand me? So he's telling us, when I bring you out to your own land, I have to purify you. I will give you a new mind. Verse 25, 26. I will give you a new mind. The Hebrew word for mind is lave, and lave means your inner authority. How do you think I got to give you something new. I got to give you a new way of thinking. I got to put a new spirit in you. You're not going to get the Holy Spirit from the New Testament. And you're going to start screaming and crying in some other foreign language that nobody's ever heard and can't even interpret. You need something new from Yah, a new mind. You need a new spirit, a new constitution. I will remove the heart of stone from your body, because it's this heart of stone that you and I possess that doesn't allow the softness and the tenderness and the patience and the long suffering, not to only bear ourselves, but to bear others. He's saying that you have a heart of stone. Our hearts are not like Yah's heart. Yah is tender. Yah is merciful. He's gentle. He's not like a man. A man has a heart of stone. A man is unforgiving. A man is not patient. A man is a liar. And he's a cheat, and he's deceptive, and he's only going to do what pleases him and what makes him happy. Yah says, I got to remove it from you. And I'm going to give you a new heart. I'm going to give you a heart of flesh. I'm going to give you a heart. I'm going to give you a mind that would be willing to accept what? Yahweh's spirit. I will put my spirit into you. When I bring you into your land. When I cleanse you. When you're no longer defiling my name. When I gather you from the nations. Thus I will cause you to follow my laws and faithfully observe my rulings. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. What are you talking about, Yah? I'm talking about my dietary. Talking about my set apart times, my appointments, my festivals. He's talking about the times of his decrees. He's telling us about you can't charge nobody interest on a loan. I'm going to put that in your heart. Paying people on time, I'm going to put that in your heart. You're not going to abuse a widow or a stranger. I'm going to put that in your heart. You're not going to take advantage of some fatherless child. I'm going to put that in your heart. You're not going to cheat on your wife. I'm going to put that in your heart. You're not going to cheat nobody out of money. I'm not going to put that in your heart. I'm taking all that away from you. You're not going to be greedy for gain. You're not going to be concerned about your so-called future. You're going to be concerned about the here and now. You're going to be in your land. You're going to be prosperous. I will put my spirit into you. Thus, I will cause you to follow my laws and what? Faithfully to observe them. Hallelujah, meaning to walk in them. Praise be to Yahweh. Then you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your ancestors in verse number 28, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. When? When you're in your land. New Testament don't tell you about no land. New Testament doesn't tell you that I'm going to give you your land. New Testament doesn't tell you about nothing about your ancestors. No, New Testament tells you nothing about this. You're living among those people, and you think because you called on the name of Christ or some other God that your Elohim now has forgiven you and you're okay? You've been purified by the Holy Spirit, and still you're walking around in filth? You're not set apart, not the way the Most High is determined, because you don't know what being Kadosh means. Because no one has taken out the time to tell us what it means. They're telling you from their perspective. They're not telling you according to the Hebrew language. And he says, when I have delivered you in verse number 29, when I have delivered you, when I have delivered you, when I have delivered you from all of your impurity, I will summon the grain and make it abundant, and I will not bring famine upon you. Today, people are having problems even buying groceries. You understand me? Why? Because you're going to experience famine among the nations. He says, when your land, I will make the fruit of your trees and the crops of your fields so abundant that you'll never again be humiliated by the nations because of famine, because they're going to run out of food and you're going to be starving with an empty stomach, and you're going to be calling on the name of your God, and he's not going to answer you because you don't know Yahweh. Why is Yah going to do this? Because our festivals that you read in your Torah portion this week tell you about the festivals. The Feast of Matzah, where you're supposed to bring Yah grain. The Feast of Shavuot in the 7 weeks, where you're supposed to bring the Most High, your first fruits. The Feast of the Ingathering at the end of the year, where you bring all your harvest, because it has to do with our land. That's why he's going to make all this happen. Verse number 31. Then, when Yah, you will remember when you're back in the land. So you're never going to forget your evil ways. You're going to recall them. And you're going to remember your conduct. In Hebrew, it says, zakartem. It doesn't have right here in English where it says you're going to remember, but this word, zakar, means to remember. You're going to remember your ways. You're going to remember all your evil ways. You're going to remember your ways. What ways? When you were in the lands, when you're among the nations. You're going to remember eating the things that Yah told you not to eat. You're going to remember calling on a name at your church services. You're going to remember getting those Christmas gifts. You're going to remember dressing up for Easter. You're going to remember all these things. You're going to remember that you didn't make no separation. You're going to remember. Why does he want you to remember it? Because if you remember it, you'll be able to know the mercy, the compassion, and the love of Yahweh. And your base conduct. You're going to remember your ways, and you shall loathe. You're going to hate yourselves for your iniquities. You're going to hate yourself for it in all your abhorrent practices because you don't know the difference right now. No one's ever told you. You've been thinking you're okay because you got a good job. You're thinking okay because you have a degree. You think you're okay because you have a bank account. You think you're okay because you have reserves. You think you're okay because you drive around in a foreign car. You think you're okay. Yah says it's abhorrent to me. Not for your sake. Verse number 32. It is not for your sake I will act, declares the sovereign Yahweh. Take note. Take good note. Be ashamed. Be ashamed, O house of Israel. Be humiliated. And that's the problem. We're not ashamed. We're not humiliated. But that's okay. He says when you get back, that's when it's going to happen. And guess what? It's not going to happen for the rebels. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be destroyed. Do you understand? He's talking about the people who are taking the time to read the Torah, the people who are making the adjustments right now, the people that are listening to his voice, the people that are making comparisons and seeing what Yah says versus what anybody else says. That's the decision that you and I have to make. I am not going to apologize for how I feel. I'm not going to apologize for teaching you what I taught you today. I'm not going to apologize for my passion. I'm not going to apologize. You know why? Because it needs to be said. Nobody out here saying this. They're not saying it. We're playing games. We're thinking that, well, I just read the Torah, so, it's okay. I'm good. No, this is how the Most High sees us. This is the Most High sees us. Do you understand? Listen to me carefully. I'm telling you today, and I'm not joking, we better not play with the Most High. What our ancestors did with the golden calf is not forgotten. He hasn't forgotten about it. He has not forgotten what we have done. He said the time for their punishment is coming. That time for punishment is when we go back out to the wilderness. The people who claimed and proclaimed the name of any other God and called on the name of another God, those are the ones who didn't listen to Yahweh's voice. Those are the ones who would have made the golden calf. They're going to be the ones who are going to say that JC is the one who brought us out. That's what the Most High is doing. He's preparing us for that day. You're being prepared right now. That's why you're in class. That's why you're attracted. That's why you want to know more. You understand? So don't get twisted and don't get it mixed up where you're thinking about, well, I don't like the way he's talking. Forget about what I'm talking about. Go read what I just read. Go read Ezekiel 36 for yourself. I'm telling you that the Most High has spoken. And he's telling us, do you not know that the name Ezekiel means to take hold of? To grab hold of. That word Ezekiel means El takes hold of. He grabs you. Most High said, I'm going to grab the children of Israel in chapter number 14 of the book of Ezekiel. I'm going to grab the children of Israel by their heart. I'm going to grab them by their heart. Thank you, Akoti Roni. I'm going to grab them by their heart. I'm going to grab them by their mind. And I'm going to shake them up. And I'm going to make them understand that Yah is trying to spare us. He is going to spare us because you are willing to listen to him. You're not listening to nobody else. You're not taking any Christian doctrine or nobody else's doctrine. You're listening for yourself and you're reading it and you're trying to find out, what does he want from me? What does Yahweh want from me? You understand? That's your lesson today. That's our lesson. This is one of the most profound lessons that Yah has ever had me teach, because he's not playing. He's not joking with us. I did not know until just reading this lesson right now the reason why Most High connected Moshe to the covenant. And the reason why he proclaimed his name to him and he didn't proclaim it to us. He proclaimed it to Moses. Go read it, chapter number 34. He didn't proclaim it to the all house of Israel. He proclaimed it to Moses. And then he made a covenant with Moses and the people of Israel, which is the link. He's the link between the Most High and the children of Israel. The Most High said, move out the way and let me exterminate all of them, and I'll make a covenant with you. Only you, but you by yourself. And Moses is like, no, 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 no. I'm your people like they are. So the one who pleaded for us is the one that we're listening to today. That's the one that you need to be listening to. Do you understand? You don't need to be listening to anybody else who didn't go on behalf to the Most High for you and try to make things right. You don't need to listen to anybody. The Most High didn't make no covenant with Paul. He didn't make no covenant with Timotheus. He didn't make no covenant with Lucas, the Greek called Luke. He didn't make no covenant with Matthew, the anonymous author in the New Testament. He didn't make no covenant with Marcus. He didn't make no covenant with them. Most High never spoke in the New Testament. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Okay? But go research for yourself. You'll find it out. Does anyone have any questions? Any remarks? Any comments? Because I do want to answer your questions. Any remarks? Any questions? Any thoughts that you want to answer to? You want to, what the timeline is? Do you want to know whether or not you're going to the wilderness first? You're going to the wilderness first. That's where the purification is going to happen, out in the wilderness. He's bringing us out there, like he said in chapter number 20. I'm bringing you out here. And I'm going to judge you face to face, just like I did your ancestors. And the rebels, and when he says rebels, is the ones who are actually rebelling against Yah currently, right now, today. He said, I'm bringing them out too. I'm bringing them to the wilderness, because I said I'm bringing all you guys out. He's bringing us out. They're coming out, but they're not going into the land. And he didn't say they have rebelled past tense. He's talking about rebelling. So anyone who's in an act of rebelling, and what does it mean, rebelling? The Most High has spoken, and then if you don't listen to what he's saying, and you're going to make up your own doctrine, your own teaching, I can't say nothing to you. No one can. No one can convince me anything other than I want to understand for myself. No one convinced me about this. The Most High had to speak to me directly and told me what it is. This is what it is. And when I talk about speaking to me directly, as I'm reading, okay, when I read the covenant and I'm reading what he says, I read it. And I understand what he's saying. Yah talks to us through the Torah. That's the reason why he's telling you to read it every single day. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Torah, which I keep talking about, and he's like, well, what is it? What is he talking about? What's the Torah? Let me show you what it is, okay? Let me share with you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, okay? So we're going to go to a website, okay? It's called kabod.org. Okay. People say, oh, that's Jewish. Yeah, whatever. Okay. They took our writings and information. They know what it is. They have it in Hebrew. They have it everywhere. Okay. I go to this website. Okay. And I go under the Learning and Values tab. Can you guys see my screen? Go to this tab right here. It's called kabod.org. Right here. You can see on my screen, kabod.org. Okay. If you don't have it, I'll send it to you. Okay. You're going to go to kabod.org and you're going to go, and I'm just using this website. You're going to go to Learning and Values. Okay.
learning and values. Learning and values is going to pop up. You're going to go weekly Torah right here. The first one, it says Parsha, weekly Torah. You're going to come across and you're going to go to complete Parsha. It's the second to the last. On the right-hand side, it says complete Parsha list. You're going to go there. You're going to click on that. Okay. And what pops up is a weekly Torah portion, okay, called a Parsha archive. And as you can see, they have these books, right? They have Bereshit, they got Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Davarim. Okay. So these are the Hebrew names of the books of Genesis, right here. Exodus is Shemot, Leviticus is Vayikra, Bamidbar is Numbers, and then Davarim is Deuteronomy. Okay. They don't have it. Okay. So you can see underneath each one of these headings, they tell you in English. Here's Genesis. So under each one of these headings, like Bereshit, you get all of these portions that you're supposed to read in the book of Genesis or Bereshit. So there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 volumes, okay? All divided, all right? So what we do is every week we go through each one of these. So right this week or this series, we're in Shemot, which is called Exodus, okay? And I want to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it better. So here it is. All right, so here it is, okay? So now, this last week, we were in Kitisa, right here. Okay, so we read chapter number 30 all the way to chapter 34, verse 35. Okay, next week we're going to read this, and I'm going to show that in my presentation in a moment. Okay, it's called Vayachel. So they have all these different names, and you're just like, well, I don't know what these names are, right? So I don't expect you to know what these names are. I don't. But what I do expect you to do is read. Okay, because I know the language, I know what each of these words mean and what they're saying. Generally, the meaning of this word is going to be found in its first verse, okay? Which means, so they'll tell you in English. But my point is that we read every week. So, last week we read Kitisa, right here. We read everything in here. And we don't read it all in one day. We read it over a course of 7 days. So every day the Most High is feeding you what he wants you to read. So next week, since we're in Vayakhel, we'll go ahead and I'll click on Vayakhel right quick. Let's click on it. And it'll show you the format. Okay, so Vayakhel, click on it. Okay, so here's Vayakhel, and it's called up the top Parshel Vayakhel. You're going to come to this part right here, and it says Vayakhel Torah reading. That's what you want to click on. We're going to click on the reading. You can look at the nutshell. You can look at the Aliyah summary. You can look at the roundup. You can even do an audio recording if you want. And then they have an interactive trainer. So they got a lot of great tools on this website. Okay. I just primarily use it just to find out where the Torah is and what I should be reading. Okay. So I just clicked on that Torah portion. Okay. As you see, the Torah reading for Vayakhel is right here. And it gives you, the date, gives you the date of the Torah portion. But this is a little bit off. But anyway, the part up here is the first, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. And then they got what they call a maftir and a haftarah. And then they give you the idea of complete. So if I click on the first day of the reading, it'll be the box that's highlighted first. And then it tells you what I'm supposed to read. And so the first day that I read, which will be tomorrow, is going to be read chapter number 35. And I'm going to read chapter number 35, verses 1 through 20. And that's all I'm going to read. That's it. Okay. Now I'm going to click on day number 2 so you can see what that is. So day 1 is 1 through 20. So when you click on, put your device on mute for me. Thank you. So when you look on day number 2 is a little different, right? Day number 2 is chapter number 35, same chapter, but now we're only reading verses 21 through 29. It's only 8 verses. But yesterday or the first day was 1 through 20 verses. This day it's only 8 verses. So it shows you that every day the Most High just wants you to read it, read a little bit of it, and then you take a break and you meditate upon what you read. Okay. And then the third day, So this is what today, when we went through first, second, third day, what I'm doing is I'm taking something out of each day that I learned to meditate on, and I'm going to break out some different ideas that go along with this. So look, the third day is going to give you a portion. And this is a portion that you're going to eat or digest for this day, like a little lamb going into a field. So he says, okay, well, we move like a shepherd would move his sheep around with a shepherd staff. The Most High is moving you around in the Torah. So, you were in chapter 35 verses, 21 to 29, only a few verses. And now he says on the third day, we're going to move over here now. Now I'm going to move you to chapter number 30, verse 30 through chapter number 36, verse 7. So the shepherd is moving you along the path every single day. So like with the manna, every day they would move around. He would feed them every day. And so you do this on every day, okay, until you come to the seventh day, which is on the Shabbat. When you come to the Shabbat, this will be the last day that you would read it. It would be chapter number 38, verse number 1 through 20. And you meditate upon that day. And of course, the Maftir is a reading of the final, ideas that surround everything. So you read the Maftir, and that will give you this to read. So you will read that, okay? Your Haftarah is an added book that gives you more insight to what you just read to, right, or you read about. So it shares some of the same ideas that you read in your Torah, but the Haftarah gives you another historical perspective. From the Book of Kings, it'll tell you, hey, Second Kings, you read these chapters, this is where you're going to find. Okay, so that's how you do a Torah portion. And if you guys need any help doing that, and you have some problems navigating, feel free to reach out and call me or whatnot, or text me, and I will help you learn how to read your Torah portion. The importance of reading the Torah portion is that if you're not reading your Torah portion, that means that you're not being fed. That means that you're not getting information. That means that you're not listening to the Most High's voice. Because when the shepherd calls, the sheep run to the shepherd. So when you want to hear what Yahweh has to say, you have to read the Torah. If you're not doing that and you're going to listen to what Paul says, the New Testament, then you can read it whenever you want and you can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to be funny style. I'm just telling you the truth, okay? So that's how it works, all right? So Torah portions are very important. Yes, Emiya.